Hello and welcome to the Candlelight Podcast, where I'm Mohamed Abdalla, talk about my favorite topics. Talk about different topics, including some of my favorites, which are movies, martial arts, and philosophy. Let's start with this week's quote, guys. Nobody can do everything, but everyone can do something. A quote by Pastor Max Lucado. So basically, this quote, as you can, derive from it, talks about how not everyone can do everything. You can't have all the skills in life. You can't have all the talent in the world. You can't, but everyone does have a talent. Everyone does have a certain talent. Like, seriously, not everybody could do everything, obviously, but that's not the thing I want to really focus on here, because obviously nobody can do everything. But every single one of us here on earth has a talent. We wouldn't be here on earth if we can't benefit it in some way. Every single one of us has an inherent talent, something we're good at, something we, naturally are inclined towards in order to better ourselves in, for example, whatever field it is in life, whatever career, whatever, job, whatever skill, whatever it is. It's just something that you are good at, that you can benefit the people around you on this earth, including the earth itself, with something that you can really just do real well at and inspire other people with, and provide whatever it is this specific talent provides. Everyone has that. Not a single person on this earth that was born that doesn't have a talent. Everybody has something to give us, something to teach us, not necessarily by, maybe just their mere existence and how they carry themselves or anything. That's enough. Because, some people just have, people have different kinds of talents. Obviously, we've got things that are very, very apparent, such as athletic ability and, And let me actually read some off here. And when I say everyone has a talent, I don't necessarily mean one kind of easily recognizable type of talent, like being athletic or, being good at public speaking. It could be something as low-key as being a generous person, being able to read and understand complex literature, or even being someone who puts a smile on people's faces and makes them feel at ease. Just being a good person, being a nice person, being a kind person, or being a strong person, being a very honest person, being so many different kinds of things that we can really specialize in, each and every one of us. Like some person may be really good at business, and that's how he kind of helps this world, by creating jobs, by making the economy flow and raising it, and really just providing a sense of an ambition for people to strive for, giving them opportunities and bringing them products or services that they can use and consume. So that's one thing. There are so many other things. Having the ability to write and really, just be able to create, fiction or nonfiction, different, or novels or stories, storytelling in different mediums as well. Like, just storytelling, you could do it through making movies, making TV shows, writing books, whatever it is, you can do it. Even video games are a great form of storytelling. This week I was actually kind of, I remember this game Journey that I actually I didn't play. I actually watched someone play it with no commentary, so I don't see the person playing it. I'm just seeing the game being played as if I'm watching a movie, but it's the game. And I just watched it from beginning to end. I think the game was no longer than 2 or 3 hours, and man, the game has not a single word in it. It's all driven by visuals and some music. And man, is the game stunning, and it tells such a story, such a profound story that you can really comprehend and understand. And it's open to some interpretation, of course, but the story is there. And we can see it. We as players, as viewers, can really understand it. But it doesn't even have words. The game doesn't even have words. It doesn't even have, animated characters like, how can I say, anthropomorphized characters that are human, that you can see their expressions. The game is a masterpiece of storytelling. That's a video game, and it's a beautiful. It's a visual beauty, guys. It's aesthetically pleasing, as aesthetically pleasing as a game gets. My tongue is getting twisted now, but yeah. What I was trying to say is everybody has a talent, and it's up to you to discover yours and benefit the world with it. You know, and I'm in the process of not necessarily discovering mine. I kind of know what I'm good at, kinda. I just need to know how to, use it. And what I think I'm good at, I don't know. It's up to, it's people that can tell, not necessarily me, because I'm just living here as a first person view. I can't really, see myself from a third person's view, if that makes sense. I think I'm just kind of good at being there, as a person. That, what people kind of, I don't want to even say it because it's weird. It's not something I have to say. Something that's gonna be apparent if it's real. I'm not gonna say it because it feels like I'm tooting my own horn, if that's the right phrase. Yeah. So everyone has a talent. Figure out yours. Use it to benefit the world and the people around you. Right. So what have I been up to this week? Well, today I actually went out with my cousins. Went to eat some. Not when I tell you some good steak. I don't mean good steak. I mean the best steak. The best steak I've ever tried in my life. I've been to this place twice already. Today and last time a few months ago. And man, it's just the best steak that there is. It's a restaurant called in Dubai called Dry Age, I think. Yeah, Dry Age. And what it is it specializes in giving you these steaks, these types of meat that are not necessarily your typical butcher shop kind of meat. No, it's dry age. What is that? Dry age is when you kind of enclose meat in a specialized place that removes all oxygen from the environment that the meat is stored in, and makes and goes on. This is the meat that is kept there for weeks and weeks until like the fat and the meat are kind of like melded into one. They kind of like go mix in together somehow, because since the meat needs oxygen, so it gets the oxygen from the fat or something like that, and then the meat just turns into this very tender, delicious, steak that can be cooked at a medium well heat level and just served as the most delicious plate of steak you'll ever try. It's so delicious. It's so ridiculously delicious. And man, but it's not something you can eat every day or every week or sometimes even every month. It's something you have to go every once in a while, occasionally, so that it's something that's special. It's not something that's ruined. You don't want to have this very high quality steak all the time. You're gonna lose. Your tongue is not gonna recognize what the quality anymore because you have it so often. It's an occasional thing. But guys, so how they used to do it in the old days was dig a hole and put the meat inside in a way it won't get dirty and cover the hole and leave it there for weeks. But nowadays, there's these specialized kinds of containers, fridges, that don't really, that are not really cooling the meat, but they're just really taking away, they kind of remove the oxygen from the air that the meat is stored in, which is, inside the container, inside the fridge, whatever the fridge is size this big, with the meat inside. And man, it tastes delicious. The end result is amazing, but it takes somewhere from 20 to 110 days for the meat to get, to that stage. And man, just delicious. Some of the best, highest quality foods that I've tried. Really recommend it, but it's not really that cheap, keep in mind. And if you're gonna go as a group, group of friends, group of family, and really enjoy your steak, because man, is it delicious. So yeah, it was a good experience, man. But the thing is, you can't go every so often. You gotta go occasionally. That's, and I say that and I'll say it again, it's an occasional thing. Don't lose what's special about it by going so often. So yeah. Oh, one thing one of the things I want to actually talk about is something interesting that I've learned, that I've kind of experienced, in my life, and I was like, huh, this is an interesting thing, a phenomenon, and turns out it's something that's actually coined. It's called Hanlon's razor. Let me open up the wiki page for it, and let me tell you about it. Hanlon's razor is an adage or rule of thumb that states never attribute to malice that which is adequately and explained by stupidity. Okay, so it is a philosophical razor that suggests a way of eliminating unlikely explanations of human behavior. It is likely named after Robert J. Hanlon, who submitted the statement to a joke book. Similar statements have been recorded since at least the 18th century. That doesn't matter. But hey, this is a very interesting phenomenon, because guess what? I was like, well, sometimes I may do something that may be misconstrued as something that I had a bad intention of doing, but then it's actually just something that it was actually as a result of a stupid, lapse that I have sometimes. So it's so weird, guys. It's such a real thing, but a weird thing, because people are like, why did he say that? It's, it's something that's kind of bad. He has malice in it, but no, it's not really that. It's just, he said that because he just had a lapse of judgment, or maybe he's a dumb person, or whatever it is. I'll give you a good example. So, if you don't receive a notice about an important event in your company, Hanlon's razor means that you shouldn't assume that this happened because the person in charge decided to avoid sending it to you since they dislike you. If it's reasonable to assume that they simply forgot to send it. Maybe they just forgot to send it. But it's not something that, that someone did it on purpose because they want to spite you or something. No. So it's very interesting how that this phenomenon exists, first of all, and also has a kind of name for it. So that's really cool. Let me see if I can find another example of it. Let's see. I'm trying to, scour the web for it, but hey, it's kind of like it helps you become kind of less, kind of makes you less paranoid, I guess, because people don't necessarily dislike you when they do some certain thing, like forgetting to send you something or say happy birthday, for example. So yeah, it's funny. But situations I've been in that I've done things like say something, like I want to say something, for example, I'm trying to tell the person something, but it comes out in a rude way because I used certain words to express it. And the only reason I use these certain ruder words that are more rude is because I kind of forgot and blanked what the nicer words were. So, it's not that I wanted to say something that was rude, it was just that I lacked the ability at that instance to think of the words that were nicer at the time. So it's not, I didn't mean to say anything wrong, I didn't mean to say anything rude, I didn't mean to offend or, have any ill will. But that's how it came across. But it was due to my stupidity, I guess. A lapse of judgment, a lapse, and just, yeah. So it's a funny phenomenon. And I'm glad that it has a name so we can actually... so I can actually, understand that people are, people can have certain moments like that. So let's get on what I saw on YouTube for today. So what I saw on YouTube were a few interesting things, but not many actually. Like I've seen a bunch of videos on YouTube, obviously, but I didn't see, that many things that were interesting for me to tell you guys. But one of them is a video about America's manliest president, Theodore Roosevelt, who the teddy bear was actually named after. Weirdly enough. So, when I tell you this guy is a man, he's a man's man. This guy has been a cowboy, a vice president, a soldier, so many other things that I don't even have them memorized. It's like he's just done so much with his life. Oh, and he was a graduate from Harvard with honors, and he was a boxer, and the list goes on. It has to how awesome this guy is. So this guy, man, Theodore Roosevelt, just listening about his life story, you're like, dude, how do you even have the time to be all of these cool things? Well, that's the thing. He was disciplined. He just was disciplined and really, really applied himself. That's how you get to do all cool things in life. You have the discipline to work hard and be brave to take on challenges, which is exactly what this man did. And he didn't even want to become president, by the way. He didn't even want to become vice president, but they kind of were like, no, we're gonna put your name in the ballots. You're a cool guy, And I'm obviously oversimplifying it. And then they put his name in the ballots, and he wins the vice presidency. And then the president dies, and he goes on automatically to become president. And then before he dies, he gets shot. And, but after he gets shot, he stays standing for 90 minutes to give a speech. And then it's like, all right, I'm feeling kind of, dizzy. Get me out of here. And then he dies in his sleep at the end. Man, this guy had a wild life. And yeah, if anyone's face is fit to be carved into a mountain, it's his. Even though that's a whole controversy, by the way, carving faces into mountains. Not really a fan of that, especially since I said mountains. Especially since the mountains are, belong to the Native Americans who believe they were sacred. I think. Was that the story, that the Native Americans believed they were sacred, but the settlers did it anyway? I think that's how the story goes, or that's how history is. Or maybe it's actually just a story. Maybe. And it's not really true. So speaking of men who have been through an interesting life and have seen action. I saw a video of a 93-year-old Irish soldier recalling the First World War on video, like in an interview in the 80s. Man, he talked about some crazy stuff that he's seen in the war. And man, every time I watch a movie about a world war, any war, or listen to a story or read something, there's always something new that I couldn't possibly imagine that exists. And when I say something new, something that's horrifying and new, something that I couldn't even ever imagine sitting as a soldier who has never been overseas to war, or has never been to war in general, never seen action. I have been trained, but I didn't go see action. So that's what I'm saying. Just reading and listening about things that have happened in previous wars, it's just so mind-boggling that the crazy things that happened. He was, just to give you, a taste, he signed up with his family members, some of his brothers, and he went into the trenches in France, I think, in the First World War to fight the Germans. And man, and the trenches obviously are just some of the most brutal, parts of being in a war, because as he says, he describes it, graphically. It doesn't even, so soldiers would die left and right because they're in constant battles, right? And soldiers would die on his side, his platoon side, on the German side, and the soldiers that would die on his side, he says from his experience, because these soldiers that die, they can't bury them, because if they bury them, it's an easy target for the enemy to shoot at them. So they would just leave their bodies lying for weeks in the trenches, and they would just sit there, not being able to do anything about them. And these dead people were either friends or relatives. And what the living soldiers were forced to do is just sit there and watch as the rats gorge the dead corpses of their fellow fighters, fellow soldiers. Man, it's just a ridiculous, not ridiculous, just, yeah. There you go. That's just one thing he said. He talked about, it's ridiculous. I keep saying ridiculous. what I mean by ridiculous is that this idea of going to war is bad enough in the first place. But what's worse is that these soldiers who go to war to protect their country are not given their due respect, or given their due compensation. Because they come back home, they're like, hey, thank you for serving, and that's about it. They don't have like a lifetime guarantee of, you served this country and you're one of the reasons we won this war, and we're gonna guarantee you a pension for the rest of your life or something like that. It's crazy. It's crazy. Now, of course, not all soldiers are good heroes, because some soldiers were very evil, or they did very evil things on the commands of their superiors or their nations, which could have been very evil. For example, I won't be sitting here praising soldiers from the Germans in the 40s, will I? Because even though those young men did think that they were serving their country, and they did think that was the good thing to do, but it turned out that their loyalty was to a very, very evil regime, right? So but still, the soldiers, for example, that are good, that have served good causes, and they, with the intention of serving the greater good, and putting making a better life for their families, these soldiers deserve to be compensated. But that's why I think when I was actually taught, what I was taught in school is that the spoils of war are divided into 5, if I'm not mistaken. 1 goes for the people of the country, and the rest of the spoils all go to the soldiers that fought in the war itself. The people who actually stuck their necks out and, put their lives on the line. Yeah, these people deserve more than we give them. God bless them. Man, soldiers deserve all the respect. So, that was another interesting thing. A really interesting thing that I've seen on YouTube, man. Khani التعبير. I'm not which means in English that I'm not being able to explain. Sorry, I touched the mic, but I can't tap the mic. But my tongue is kind of twisted for some reason. It's the end of the day. I'm kind of tired. So, last thing I saw that was interesting on YouTube was this, Mr. Beast video of him saying hi me in 5 years. It's titled Hi Me in 5 years. He just kind of documents where his YouTube channel was at that moment. And then he just says hi to himself, I guess, in 5 years. And he's like, tell me how much your channel, grew and everything. And he was talking about, man, I didn't even decide which college I wanted to go to. And I really hope that I make money off my YouTube channel. Crazy things, especially considering where he is right now. And man, do I respect that man. I admire Mr. Beast. I admire James. Because, man, I respect him because of how much he hustled and worked, put in the hard work, and worked smart in order to be where he is today. Really respect him. 23, 24 years old, on the top of the world. God bless him. Doing so much good in the world, benefiting it, really. God bless him. Really cool to see what he's accomplished. So, in MMA news, again, slow time for the UFC nowadays. But you know what? It's okay. They've given us absolute bangers all year long. Amazing fights left and right. Let's have a little break from the action and insanity. Oh, wait, we can't, because Yoel Romero is fighting this weekend in Bellator against Phil Davis. Man, that fight is happening while the UFC has nothing going on this week. And it's been a slow time for the UFC, but it's okay, because they've obviously given us an amazing year of fights. So, yeah, let's switch over to Bellator. Let's switch the channel over to Bellator and see what they've got going on, because they've got Yoel Romero fighting at 205. It didn't cut weight. Let's see how well he does. And, yeah, that's an interesting thing to see. Next week is UFC 266, I believe. And hopefully, yeah, that card is going to be good. Hopefully. Headlined by Brian Ortega and the champion Alexander Volkanovski. And it has Nick Diaz fighting in the undercard. So, hopefully it's pretty good. Pretty exciting. And since it's been a slow time for the UFC. I've been rewatching some. I've been watching, not necessarily rewatching, some of Yuri Prohaska's past fights. The guy that's actually in title contention for the light heavyweight championship. Man, is that guy a fighter? He's such an interesting guy to watch fight, and just an interesting guy all around. Guys, check out some of his highlights and some of the things that he's done, because man, he's crazy. He's just ridiculous. He conducts himself as a martial artist who's calm and peaceful, but at the same time, when he goes into the cage, he goes to war. He fights his butt off, and man, it looks amazing. He's just so explosive, so dynamic, cuts angles, and it's great to watch him fight. Such a exciting fight. To rewatch this fight with Dominic Reyes, and man, is that fight potential fight of the year, guys. Potential knockout of the year. We're gonna have to wait and see. And also, I rewatched the second Poirier versus Holloway fight, where wow, just wow. These guys have been man. The way these guys went at each other and none of them caved. Like, Poirier rocked Holloway 4 times in the first 2 rounds. But Holloway didn't quit. Saw the final bell. Man. Other people have quit. Like Eddie Alvarez, got TKO'd. Justin Gaethje got TKO'd. Conor McGregor got TKO'd. But Holloway kept on fighting after getting rocked 4 times. Ridiculous. That was a ridiculously good fight. Wow. And that's the fight that got Poirier the interim belt, which got him the fight against Khabib in Abu Dhabi. Man, it was just, that was just a great fight. So yeah, that's what I've been doing, waiting for the next UFC card to show up, and next good UFC card to show up. One that has an actual... Wait a minute. Is there a UFC card this week? I think there is. I think Anthony Smith is fighting Ryan Spann. UFC card. Oh, shoot. There is. There is a UFC card. I kind of forgot about it. There wasn't one last week. Okay. But yeah, it's not... see how forgettable it was? It wasn't anything that interesting. So yeah, that's all. Oh, I mean, you've got Anthony Smith, sure, but you've also got Arman Sarukian. That guy's a good fighter, and he's bringing it. So that's something to watch. So, guys, with that said, I guess out of the way, this was the Candlelight Podcast by yours truly, Mohamed Abdalla. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you come back for more. And once again, nobody can do everything, but everyone can do something. See you guys in the next one. Peace.